Sometimes people are asked to do some very strange things. And one of those persons who was asked to do that was a man in the Acts of the Apostles whose name was Ananias. Now, who is Ananias? Ananias was a disciple of the apostles, and he had just joined this newly formed new religion that spoke of Jesus as the risen Christ and our means of salvation. And he was just going about minding his own business, living his daily life, when his life was turned upside down and he was asked to do something he could not even believe that he was asked to do. At this time, shortly after the religion had been started to grow, there was a man named Saul, and his main goal was to get rid of these Christians because they were a pest and they were interfering with the Jewish religion. And they were taking people away from the synagogues and the temples because people were now following this new risen Christ. So what does Paul do? Paul goes out and he starts to persecute these Christians. He goes out and grounds them up, gets the temple police, rounds them all up, throws them into prison, tortures them, and even kills them. And one day, Saul is riding home on the way to round up more prisoners, and he's get knocked off his horse. Literally knocked off his horse. And he's blinded. And at that point, he hears a voice from heaven. And it says, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And Saul says, who are you? And Jesus responds, I am the one you are persecuting. I am Jesus. And he changed his name from Saul to Paul. And then he said, I will take you now to a man in town, and you are to go to him and spend some time with him. He doesn't know what to do, so he's desperate, he's scared, and so he is led by his fellow workers to a place. And Ananias looks out the door, and here is Saul. Now, Ananias knows who Saul is, not because he personally met him, but because he has heard his reputation and how he's going out and he's trying to destroy the young religion and how he's persecuting Christians. And Ananias didn't want any part of that. He had a family, and he certainly didn't want to be tortured. But he lets him in because he had received a message from God. And God said, take him in. And he doesn't yell at Saul. He doesn't yell and condemn him. Instead, he welcomes him as a brother. And when he does, Ananias allows Saul or Paul to stay in his house, and they spend some time together. And Paul begins to realize who the risen Christ is, and his life is changed forever. Now, Ananias could have shut the door and said, Paul, get out of here. But he didn't. He listened to what God's message for him was, to be open to the almost what would seem impossible, to open to the marvels of what could happen if we just let God's work through us. So be like Ananias when you receive a message. Consort with the Spirit, follow through, and not only will you change your own life, but you can change the lives of others. So be open to the Spirit. Listen to what he has to say to you, and then